Hi, everyone. Agnes here, and I have T back. Hello, T.
Hello. Hello, audience. How are you guys?
Yes. Now, some of you may remember an interview I did back. How long ago was it?
It was like at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, was it even before COVID? I don't know. COVID kind of warps the timeline.
It really does.
Mm,
Yeah, it does. It's been a
yeah.
while. 'Cause, to be honest with you, I didn't rewatch the interview, so I don't even I don't know when it was,
Yeah.
but I feel like
Well,
it was at least 2 years since
yeah.
actually it had to have been because of yeah, because it was definitely after COVID. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you know it was
Anyway.
after COVID. Well, you had a great, amazing success story. I'm going to put the link down below to the first interview we did so people can go back and check that out. But we're going to start from today. And I'm just going to give the audience a little bit of, we said, because I loved how you worded this. It's about deepening self love, knowing yourself, what you want in a relationship with a partner, and choosing the right partner, which I think is really important. So, do you
Mhm.
want to rewind back to where we left off and then take us forward as to what's happened in your manifesting life, your relationship life, your romantic life, anything you'd like to share? You know, people love a good success story.
Yeah. Well, I first off want to just say thank you for having me back. And it's great to be here. I think
Mm.
since I started to really deepen into my self-love journey and just like my growth journey, I think
Yeah.
my biggest calling has just started to be to like really help people, as much as I can in the ways that I can, in the ways that I've learned. And I think the biggest ways that I've learned is like I just know based on like, the way my life has panned out that like the things that have come easy to me, you can certainly teach on those things, but I think the thing that you can teach on the best are the things that haven't come easy to you, that you had to like really learn. And because
Yeah.
once you learn it, you can actually teach people and help people, or at least work with them like while they're also coming through um their journey of the same thing. And so like mine has always been, with relationships, and I would say like intimate relationships, but I think what that really means is it's like your relationship with yourself.
Mhm.
So that to me was really like my initiation, into this whole journey, is starting to see like why my relationships were not working the way I wanted, and then starting to uncover, okay, like why was that?
Mhm.
And so I did share that first portion of my journey, as a success story into deepening into self-love, but I did manifest that guy back.
Mhm.
And what's interesting is that Agnes talks so much about uh, you know, like inspired action and different ways to manifest and things, the way things come in. And, I had a moment where like I really did think about why I wanted to manifest him, but the moment when I actually like reached out to him was just like inspired. Like I just felt like I could, and when you don't have resistance to something, like I even to this day now, I don't have resistance to reaching out to him. But as we go into the story a little bit more, I'll explain why I won't. But I on my own, I had reached out to him just because I was, like something triggers something and it makes you think about that person. And I was like, you know what? Let me just see how he's doing. And we started this just like very long back and forth conversation via email at first. And I didn't really push it along, but we were just starting to like re get to know each other, like what was going on in each other's lives. And I'll just call him, like, to make it easy, I'll just call him like the quantum guy because he was a physicist. So to keep him anonymous.
The
But
quantum guy.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he and I were just like kind of like getting reacquainted. And what was so funny about that whole situation is like he lived, and I think I said this maybe in the first interview, but he moved far away from me for a while. And what was so funny that I discovered in like our new conversation, he moved back to close to where I live now, not too far. It's like a couple hours.
Yeah.
But so that was interesting. And then there was other aspects about his life that I knew, that you know, kind of we got into more depth about, and eventually like one thing led to another, and he started to ask me out, and we would go and meet up with each other. He would start to buy me gifts. One of my manifestations that was really something I didn't plan on happening with him, but I wanted to go. So, you know, like the Rockefeller tree in New York City.
Hmm.
I wanted to go there during Christmas time, like with my boyfriend, and like, you know, get a picture in front of the tree and just have it be like a very romantic type of date. And I really, I mean, I'd done that before with a guy, but not with somebody that I like really wanted to do it with. And I don't know. I didn't plan it. That's how what's so great about manifestation is it was just kind of like a desire in my heart. And, you know, I kind of let it go as to like how it would happen and who it would happen with. And one of the dates that he had asked me out on was in Manhattan. And so we met up there, and we went to this really wonderful, like he took me to this like five-star restaurant for this beautiful lunch. And then we went and we like walked around and got coffees, and then we went down to see the tree, and we got like a picture in front of the tree. And that was like one of my manifestations that I was like
Mm.
so excited about at that time. Um, and
Did he
so
know? Did he know that, or did it just kind of
uh,
unfold? It just
yeah, it
unfolded.
just unfolded. He didn't
Oh,
know.
wow.
He didn't
Wow.
know. And I think that's like the coolest part of it, right? You know?
Yes. Yeah. That's
So anyway, so and then just to kind of like round it out. So we dated from that point for another couple of months. But you know, as and you talk about this a lot, and yes, is that when you manifest somebody back, they don't always come in exactly how you want them to be fully conform. Like it's
mm,
not always like a full conformed person to like what your hope is for it to be, like the full relationship, like kind of sussed out and perfect. And that's fine. I think you kind of have a couple options with that. You can either work with the person from the place that they are and the state that they are in and the state that you are in to sort of make it what you want it to be. Or I think, and I've started to do this more just because I've gotten to a different place in my journey, but I start to let it go so that the universe can do it for me and that I don't
mm.
have to do the work on that person. Because there's a couple things. I mean, there's trust there, but there's also kind of like, and again, you talk about this, and you're one of the only teachers that really talks about this is the other person. Like there's another whole person in this whole
Yeah.
situation and journey,
Mm.
because you're trying to create something for yourself, but if you're creating a relationship and you want to create something really beautiful, you want it to be not only equal but consensual. You want to be on the same page. You want to both be in the same place where it's a good fit at the right time. And so like
Yeah.
when things start to kind of feel off or like kind of like tippy, sometimes you can work through it, and I think it just depends on the specific scenario. And then sometimes I think it's better to, if it's too big, like it's better to sort of let that thing go so that you can focus back on, okay, where are the areas in my own self that are lacking? Because clearly, you know, if since the world's a mirror, it's not always like direct where it's like if you're insecure, they're insecure, but it's like if you're, you know, not meeting a need of your own, that person is probably also not meeting needs of their own, and those needs may be different. But if you're not able to meet those things, sometimes the
Mm.
relationship just doesn't gel, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
you've been in a relationship for a very long time, so
Mm.
you must have experienced so many different things along that journey. Like I can only imagine understanding and
Yeah.
hearing more about that would be amazing. But I mean, from your perspective, like would you say that that's like, you know, something, like how do you look at it? Because to me, I look at it as like when it's really difficult, like do you think it's something you should work through with that person if you feel like, you know, you can handle it? Or do you like, how do you decide whether to let it go or whether to work through it with the
Mm.
person?
I always think, okay, what is this triggering in me, and what do I need to work on? And
Yeah.
is this coming back from childhood, teenagerhood, that I have still some unresolved stuff? And once you cool down your own emotion, you process your emotions, you let them out, then I think you still need to have a conversation about certain things. But I find it's these days, it's about 70% work on my stuff and 30% talk about it within the relationship. And also, I don't go and talk to my girlfriends about different things. I just go,
Yeah.
this is, my partner said, look, this is our stuff. It's between us. So it's our business and it's for us to work out. So I mean, we've been together 14 years this November coming. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've gone through, but the relationships just got easier and easier and easier. You learn to let stuff go, and you also learn to see how someone is giving love rather than this is how I want to be loved. You
Yeah.
People love in different ways, as we know from the 5 love languages with Gary Chapman. You can pretty much work out, if you're with someone, how you like to give love and receive love and how they like to give love and receive love. And I think it's so easy to miss how someone gives love if it's not the way you want to receive it. So
Yeah.
it's understanding those
Absolutely.
differences is really, honestly, it makes the relationship so much easier when you're not just trying to get your agenda all the time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
relax more, you observe more, you understand more. You look to understand rather than to be understood all the time. So
Yeah.
honestly, my relationship's so easy compared to what it used to be. Like, I mean, I've had relationships before, but it's so much easier, T, so much easier. And I don't know, are you finding that too as time goes on?
Yeah, so I think like based on like you know how I look at it, and I love what you said, how it like gets easier, and I think you're right. And I think the biggest thing is really like, to me, part of loving myself is also seeing. So like one of my biggest desires I'll talk about is how, in terms of relationship and what it is that I want and desire, is I want to be seen and see that person as clearly as I possibly can. And I think like, Eckhart Tolle talks about this a lot. And what it really comes down to is being able to see another person means like, and you say this with like sweeping your side of the street. It just means like that 70% of self-love work, 70% of
Mm,
work that's done is clearing out your own crap, because you're not going to be able to see somebody clearly if you have all of these
mm.
barriers in the way, causing you
Yes.
anxiety, causing you anxiety, like your childhood trauma, your things that you're paranoid about, things that you're focused on that are kind of inhibiting your ability to love somebody. And so, and also really like to love yourself. I think that's what it really comes down to, is to love yourself, because you
Yeah.
can't love somebody, I think, until you
Mm.
fully love yourself.
Mm.
Um, and so one of the things that I saw, and like I'll just bring it back to like my journey, is that so he and I started, we were seeing each other. So like as you start to see each other in the beginning phases of this, and like I said, we dated for about 6 months, is I started to see that his needs were something that at this point I kind of felt like I had to move on from, and step back, and by that I mean like let go of the relationship itself, because of the fact that not only did I love myself, but I loved him. And I know him well enough to know what his childhood trauma is and what
Mm.
his specific story is, which I won't share, but it
Yeah.
was it was rough, like, and in a very specific way of that he dealt with abandonment with his familial structure. And so what he went through, and then now his current circumstances, it was like a perfect lineup to for him to try to heal his trauma. And what I realized was that is my involvement, not that like my involvement was bad in any way. Like I brought him joy, like he still loves me, like I know he still does. It's never a question
Mm.
of like the love, but I
Yeah.
knew that the best way to love myself and to love him was to allow him to complete his circle of that journey. And like I wish I could go into detail. I just like don't want to share that private information. But
Yeah.
I think that if you knew the journey and you understood it, it's like it's almost like it's like the way the universe and God works now. I see it so clearly that you are given the circumstances that you're given so that you can overcome them and not be the person that you were before. And I
Mm.
realized that if I tried to interject myself into his life in the way that I wanted, and I say that that's almost sounds like forcefully, but if it were to pan out in the way that I wanted at that time, it wouldn't allow him to work through the things that he on his own needs to figure out.
Okay.
And I wanted to allow him to do that. And the other thing is like when you start to again like love yourself enough, I think you also want that person to be able to choose you fully, like with their heart on their own, and
Mm.
know that like I have the free space in my life and my heart right now to be able to like move forward in this situation. And the other thing was is that he said something very specific that kind of resonated with me because I want a family and I would love to have children. And he was at a point where, based on his situation, he's like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want that. And so, with manifesting, like, is it true that you can manifest anything you want? Yes. Could I, if I wanted to be with him, get him to change his mind, have children with me, do all of these things? Is it like possible? Yes. But like, number one, do I want to force it? No, absolutely not.
Mm.
Because it's not something that I think,
Yeah.
like, when it comes to bringing, I think, a life into this world, like, I look at that as one of like the most sacred things you could ever do.
Mm.
Just because if you're doing it in the right way and you're bringing up a person to like make the world a better place and like also what's best for them, you
Mm.
want things to be like fully consensual and fully on board on the same page with both parties. And you don't want there to be any reservations on either side.
Yeah.
And so like when I heard that, now could I change that belief in me? 100%. But like, I mean, what it takes to change a belief. Like, I have to go through and process that belief, like, and allow that belief to neutralize so that I could actually
Mm.
accept my life with or without it, right? Like, you have to
Mm.
be able to allow for that thing to be there or not for you to be able to be fully okay with it. And so I knew at that point, like, I wasn't willing to let that go. And I saw where he was, and I was like, you know what? This is not the right place for either of us right now.
Mm.
And I just knew it. Like, and it was more of like instinctual. And which is why, like, at that point, I let the relationship go. And I said, you know what? Like, if we're meant to work out in the future, like,
Yeah.
he will be able to come back on his own at the right time. But at
Mm.
this point, I, like, I learned enough when it came to self-love about what it is that I wanted, that I wasn't willing to let go of certain things that I wanted. And I think
Mm.
you have to learn how to be honest with yourself, right? Like, I think
Yes. Well said. Mm.
you have to be honest with yourself with like what it is that you want and what it is that you're willing to accept and let go of. Because like in a relationship, there's always going to be compromise. But like, I think if you have certain things that you truly desire in your heart and you start to compromise on those things, that's different. That's like, to me,
Mm.
self-abandonment, because you're just sacrificing
Yes.
at that point, right? Like,
Yes.
and so you have to start to learn the difference between all these things. And I just think like I could talk about self-love all day because there's so much nuance. And you even told me this because you guys, if you, I don't know, who has worked with Agnes, but you're one of the most like renowned and long-standing teachers that's, I think, credible in this community. And I worked with you in the very, very beginning of my journey when I was like a completely different person, very
Mm.
insecure, very scared, not understanding the laws at all. And now to get to this point where I am right now, where I can start to share like the places that I've come, you know,
Mm.
you have one of the best communities, I think, that's out there. And that's why I really wanted to come back and continue to share and give back to like you, who has given me so much, and then also the people that are still, in my shoes, and the people that are learning. So I think like at this point, really, I just want to be clear to everybody that like I manifested him back. We dated for about 6 months. I decided that it was time to let it go in terms of like seeing that it was the wrong timing. And, again, like, and yes, it said in her relationship, it gets easy and you work through it. But she also got to a place in her relationship, right, where you just like, you knew all the challenges that would come up were things that you could work through together. And to
Mm.
me, like when I see these things, come up that were, challenges with us, I knew it was like more instinctual than it was anything else, that like it would be better that we worked through it separately. And so
Okay.
that's where I then went back to dealing with my own self-love. But what I didn't do is I didn't take it on myself. Like I'll say this is a big thing too for your audience is like when you're going through this journey of finding the person that you want to choose to be with as like your life partner, I don't want you guys to like take it on yourself as like if something doesn't work out the way you want to the first time, it doesn't mean number one that you can't get them back. Like you can get
Mm,
that same person to come back, but you also have to like allow for timing to work it out in the right way, and it will magically. Like that's what's so cool about manifesting, but you have to number one trust it, and also like human time, like we're in these like 3D human bodies, like but universal time is not the same. Like the universe takes its time, and like that's
mm,
one thing that we I know people are very particular about making things happen in a certain period of time, but like we're
mm,
not control. And like I think Neville says this or somebody says this, maybe you'll know, but we're not in control of like the when and the how,
mm,
right? Like it's more of like the who and the what that we focus on. We focus on what we want or who we want. But when it comes to the specific amount of time that it takes or how long it takes or how it comes to you, like
mm.
that is not necessarily up to us. Like, do you agree with that actually? I'm curious because
Yes,
I feel like Neville,
I
is it
do.
Neville that talks about that? Or I don't
Well,
remember.
I think, I mean, I agree with you about we do our bit and then we can influence, but we can't control the timing and the how it's going to get there. And if you are into that, to me, that's a spiritual arrogance you'll probably have to get slapped out of you at some point. because
Yeah.
because there
Yeah.
is a lot of that, where you can have what you want when you want it. It's like, okay,
Yes.
so you're into
Yes.
putting the foot on the
Yes.
back of the universe's neck, and you're going to instruct the universe, and you think the universe is going to bend to your every no. I do think the
Yes.
universe knows the timing, and you will be humbled more than once in your lifetime
Yes.
on that topic.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so true. That's
Yeah.
so true. And it's so funny because like I know a lot of people talk about this. And I want to actually clarify something about that because can you impact the timing on certain things? Absolutely. But it's things that you have no resistance to. It's like, do you want a
Mm.
cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll manifest it right now because like I have a coffee pot right here. Or like,
Yeah.
I'll go to Starbucks or something. I'll drive down the
Mm.
street. Or
Yeah.
it's like if you have enough money in your bank account, you're like, oh, I really want to manifest that, like that new TV that I've been dying to get. You have enough money. Okay, you go manifest that TV. You go get it right away. But it's like
Mm.
if it's something that has like some resistance, let's say it's like a really expensive item or it's like a person, which I think are like the
Mm.
biggest things for people, or even money, let's say. But like
Yeah.
those types of things, it's like exactly what you said. It's arrogance.
Yeah.
Like if you are just trying to like bend the universe to your will, God is gonna like completely slap you down and
Yeah.
show you like
Yeah.
that's not how you get. And it's not it's I mean I don't think the universe is malicious in any way. I think it's actually
No.
neutral. It's neutral
Yeah.
and or
Yeah.
loving, if anything. Like it's neutral and loving, I think, equally.
Mm.
But it's you're gonna learn pretty quickly that like trying to manifest things by force to get
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
human will is just not the way it works, which is again why I sort of like I don't panic anymore at surrendering and letting things go. And I sort of like one of the things I wrote down, and I was going to share this at the end, but it's sort of like I wrote it, I basically look at it as like I decide what I want. I think about it, maybe visualize it if I want to, not always, but
Yeah.
sometimes. And then I believe that it's possible for it to happen. You have to obviously believe that you can have it. And then if I don't actually physically have it, or if I'm in the process of manifesting it and it's like coming in and coming out, I'll a lot of times just now surrender it to God and like
Yes.
source, because I'm
Yeah.
just like, you do the work, because it's not my job to like conform the things to me. If I truly have this power and I truly trust that God is within me and you and all of us, which I
Yeah.
believe,
Yeah.
that it will come to me at the right time, like not at the
Mm.
time that I desire. And
Yeah.
that's sort of when I go back to saying like the universe's time is not my time, even
Yeah.
though we desire things on a certain timeline. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
But and then the last part is like I spend the rest of the time becoming the thing that I desire. I think that's like a huge part of it. Because Neville
Yes.
talks about this. All the spiritual teachers talk about this. It's like Eckhart Tolle, Jesus, whoever it is that you believe, like people talk about becoming what it is that you desire, and becoming the thing is not just like, you put on the clothes and you dress like you're like a married woman, and you're, where you have the handbag and you're fantasizing about that is important. That's a component because you're seeing that what you want, but it's more about like who is this person? Like
Mm.
what does it feel like to be that person? But also it's like, what are you willing to accept? What are you willing to say yes to? What are you willing to say no to? Who would this person be in the world? Like, what kind of, like, if you're a woman, what kind of wife do you want to be? Like, what kind of
Mm.
things do you believe about relationships and how they should be, and how you would want your relationship to be, and how you want to be in that relationship to be those things now? Like, and I know everybody talks about this, but and it's so esoteric sometimes. Like, it took me a long time to really understand what people meant by this, but for me, it was really understanding like what are like my hard like no-goes, like what is it like that are my boundaries. You can even like list them out, and for everybody it's going to be a little bit different. Like, what am I willing to accept in a relationship? What am I willing to accept in terms of how that person treats me? Like,
Mm.
what is my end goal? And what is how is it that I want to be in the world? Like, how do I want to impact the world? Like, what do I want to give to the
Mm.
world from myself, from my heart? Because
Mm.
if I am the person that I want to be, like within myself, then I will be able to manifest the equal of that to me,
Yes.
because I
Mm.
am being that person. So that's where I
Yes.
think like the being part can get like so nuanced, right? Like, I think I work on the being almost every day, and if
Mm.
not every single day, because, and
Yes.
that's like one of the most important things. I mean, I'm sure you still be, because you are in your relationship, right? So you like
Yeah.
still be the person that's in that relationship every day, right?
Yeah. And having thoughts like, I love how we understand each other. I love how we have fun and we laugh. I love how we enjoy each other. I love how we love each other. I love how we're affectionate.
Mm.
I love how we are on the same page in terms of how we look after ourselves and how we are positive and we grow separately and together. So I do have those thoughts. And I think it's my set point is much higher than it ever used to be, because if anything went a bit in the relationship, I go, oh, okay, so I've got not so good thoughts about him. It's like you can have good self-love, but you can also have very negative assumptions about your partner. So,
Yeah.
and they're two halves of a nut. I find the self-love is the first part that needs to be addressed, but then you got to look at, because we all go through a honeymoon phase in a relationship. It's when the honeymoon phase is over and you start thinking, oh, he used to do this and he used to do that, and why doesn't he do this anymore? And then you
Yeah.
start going into this the critical
Yes.
judgment with your hands, like why? And
Yeah.
soon as you do that, your relationship starts to decline, because you're looking at he's not, he's not, he's not, he's not. And
Yeah.
I, I make sure I don't destroy my relationship with any of that. If there's something we haven't done for a while, I just go to bed, I imagine it, and I think, oh, I love living into the end of that. That feels so good. We had so much fun. And then I just let it go. And then he says, oh, I've got a surprise for you. I go, okay. And then he says, I'm not telling you. I go, okay. And then it just happens to be a bit like your experience, where you end up at that place where you haven't said anything to him. And then there you are.
Yeah.
It's like those
Yeah.
things just unfold. And it's like, wow, this is so much easier to align with desires, rather than standing there going, you're not, which just
Yeah.
destroys. It's like the man starts to feel, no matter what I do, it's never enough.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah. Well, it's like,
yeah,
yeah, it's Well, it's the state, it's like your mindset, it's like what you're affirming to yourself and what you
Yes.
believe, and then it brings you down to where that is. And then it, because that person is just a reflection, reflecting back to you.
Yep.
They're going to be reflecting back to you what you're really thinking in the end, like maybe not right away, but eventually it's going to catch up if you keep living there.
Right. That's
And
right.
that's sort of like whether it's a journaling or an affirmation, or it's like, your beliefs, like they're all the same thing. And it's like if you're living
Mm.
in, it's like the state, we could talk probably about states for a while, but like
Mm.
I won't go into it too much, but it's more like if you're living there, like where you're living in your mind, it's like
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
truly huge, and it's pretty much everything. And I just to kind of like, I just want to round out a couple of things because like I think to just kind of let people understand like a little bit more about the mindset about like why I let him go. You know, I want to be honest, like I think that's like the best way to help people. And like
Yeah.
to be honest with like your audience is, once I manifested him back, I realized that like all the things that I originally loved about him and like the reasons why I wanted to manifest him in the first place were true. And I'm glad that I did. I don't regret it at all, because it really gave me, and yes, talks about this all the time. It really gave me clarity on like what it
Mm.
is that I actually wanted. And when he came back in the way that he did, even though he wasn't fully conformed into the person that I wanted, even if he did come back now, I'm actually not sure that I would want to be with him. And it's not because he's not a wonderful person. And it's not because, I mean, he's doing amazing things and he's brilliant and he's healing all of his stuff. And I do still love him deeply, but I realize it's like you have to decide like this is like the becoming part. You have to decide who it is you want to be and who you want to be. And I will say that like, and I'll go into this another time. I manifested another ex-pac, um, who ended up teaching me, okay, this is more aligned with who I am and what I want. And that sort of
Mm.
was like the reason why, and this was like later on, um, why now I'm kind of allowing things to just sort of go in a different direction in my life. So that, like I can truly give myself what I want, because in the end, I want to be the best person for the other person that I'm with, but the way to do that again is to be the best version of myself. And
Yeah.
I think to round things out with, not getting into the story about like the different guy, but I think like one of the best things I can share, at least in terms of what specifically helped me, because, and yes, you talk about this, like things that you do on a
Mm.
day-to-day basis. I'll just kind of run through a list really
Yeah.
quickly. And
Great.
then people can, if they have questions, they can ask questions maybe in the comments.
Yeah.
But kind of what I wanted to share about what I do for self-love is stuff that a couple of things that I've already talked about, but like one is being congruent in my life. Um and by congruent I mean, you know, am I like when I agree to something, am I saying yes for the right reasons? Is there an internal no that I'm denying? If there's an internal no that I feel,
Mm.
I won't do it anymore. I don't care what it is,
Mm.
even if it has to do with work, friends, life, what I eat, what I put in my body, what I do on a day-to-day basis, people I want to
Mm.
spend time with. I won't do it. So I'm congruent with myself. I'm true to myself. The next thing I have down that I wrote is boundaries. I think boundaries are huge in terms of like, you know, again, similar to like being congruent, it's like, who do I want to let in? Just because some person is nice to me doesn't mean that like you have to let them come in and take over your energy. Like some people are not in the right state of mind. And like if that
Mm.
brings you down, that's not going to help you. And yes, should we help people and should we be there for people? Yes, but you also have to be able to protect your own energy so that you can help people. So,
Yes.
having boundaries and having even just specific things like bedtimes for myself, or that I, meditate every day.
Yeah.
I have them for myself too. I don't just have them for people in my life.
Yeah.
The other thing is journaling, which, and I mean, you can call it scripting, journaling. Sometimes it's just even writing notes. Like if I have something that's like in my mind all the time, I will
Mm.
just write it out on paper now at any time during the day. So I have I have like at least 4 notebooks now, just with like
Yeah.
random scribbles about different thoughts, because it's nice to be able to get things out, especially when you're in a place where you're struggling. Like sometimes like getting your thoughts out and being able to see what you're thinking so that you can either change them, or just understand yourself better, saying like, this is where I am at, so
Yeah.
how do I get to a different place?
Mm.
The other thing is listening to my inner voice, which has been probably the biggest thing. And this is sort of, I think, Florence Scovel talks about this. It's like there's a book about intuition that she has written, and that's to me like one of the biggest things that I listen to now. It's always like giving me little like nudges into the right direction, and I just, the more I followed it, the more my life has kind of flourished. The other thing I do is I question my negative thoughts. This is something I think that it's Byron Katie talks about, where if you have a negative thought, I start to ask myself, do I know that this is true? And a lot of times it can help me like negate the negative thought, because you're asking yourself something that you don't know an answer to.
Hmm.
So you can say like, no, I don't know that this is true. This thought is here, but do I have to believe it, basically?
Yeah.
And that's where I can say, no, not necessarily. And then I can either, if I, it still plagues me, I like I allow it, but I don't buy into it. And then if it doesn't plague me anymore, I can just let it go. Um, I talked about meditation already. I meditate now every day. It's not
Yeah.
like I don't do anything anymore in a militant way, but I think meditation has been one of the most impactful things in terms of changing how I feel about
Mm.
myself.
Mm.
My personal favorites are inner body awareness meditations, and then sort of like allowing my thoughts to come up meditation. It's just sort of like a free flowing meditation where you observe your thoughts, but you do not um, allow yourself to just like buy into them. You just watch what's going on,
Okay.
allow sensations to come up, allow thoughts to come up, and observe, and then like let them go. Um, let's see what else. Trusting myself, listening to myself, grounding exercises, and being in nature, I think are some of the
Mm.
bigger things that I like adore now. I just like,
Yeah.
I'll watch the trees a lot of
Yeah.
times, especially when I'm stressed out. Like sometimes the
Yeah.
movements and like undulations of like the trees,
Mm.
or just like putting my feet in the sand or in the dirt, like, or the grass, like it just feel like there's something about organic things that like can help you connect more to yourself.
Totally.
Um, and the biggest thing, and this is probably its own video, but I've worked through my anxious attachment, and I've had specific things that I've done to do that, because I had really severe
Yeah.
childhood stuff that I had to work through. So I think those were the biggest things that really has helped me on my journey into manifesting a new relationship. And also I would say I know I've let go of my abandonment wound for not being good enough, because
Mm.
I used to have third parties come in, and I used to have always a fear of like losing out on a person not loving me for me, because I wasn't good enough before. And I realized that I had neutralized that, because when I manifested that new person in, there was never a third party. And I still know, like to this day, that like it's don't like a third party is not going to come in and usurp that. So
Yeah.
it has been
Nice.
a huge, that was the biggest one. And now I still have other things I'm working through, but like that was, I think, one of the biggest things that plagued me for a really long time. So um I just wanted to say thank you so much for like your time and like letting me share all of these tidbits. I do hope that this stuff has been helpful to your audience, and I really think like if you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer
Mm.
them for them, and go
Oh,
into any more detail if they have questions. So
it's so great to hear where you're at, and it's so great to hear what you've moved through. And it is sometimes you've got to look at not just do they want me, do they want me, do they want me? You've got to look at and go, hang on a minute. I want you, but are you a good match for me for what I want in my
yeah,
life? And
yeah,
I mean, there's financial differences. There's I want a child, you don't differences. There's I want to live in this country and you don't differences. There's so many things that can be deal breakers, and you don't want to bend yourself into a pretzel just to make it work. And then in the end, you feel like, in a way, the person has just agreed to it to make you happy, but it's not really what they want or who they are. And I've got some relationships in my personal life, like friends that I've known for many, many years, and I've seen some of these things play out, and it causes so many decades worth of anguish when someone won't let someone go because they, it's their specific person. And I understand that. I do understand that deeply. But when
Yeah.
you have certain things like, I want to have a baby, and they don't, how you are, the law of nature is going to trump the law of attraction. Sorry to say that, but that is your body clock ticking. You cannot have a baby at 60. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So we have to make decisions, especially women, around those topics that can be hard decisions to make. But if you really want something like that, or you really want to live in another country and the person you're with really doesn't, you have to think, okay, will I regret this if I actually step towards this person, or should I completely surrender and let go and do what I really, really want, and follow my dream and what's in my heart, and trust that God will sort out the person for me. Either your person changes and really desires it because they've had a flourishing, an awakening, or whatever, or someone new pops in. And that is a big thing, trusting God,
Yeah.
trusting source on things like that. They're huge issues. They really are. And, better to have the conversations with yourself in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s before you can no longer have those conversations with yourself at all. And the options are removed, they're off the table because of nature, because of time. So,
Yeah.
these are
Absolutely.
big questions and big things to consider. So I'm
Yeah.
so honestly listening to you talk, it's just like, this is like so beautiful to listen to, because, we've known each other quite a long time now, and we've had sporadic contact, but it's like I remember those days when we first had contact, and I remember where you were, and it's so, if you follow the self-love journey, you will always end up in the right place. And
You will.
you
Yeah.
will, and you will see that all your anxieties, your fear of the future, your anguish of the past, it all slowly gets stripped away. And then you start to blossom and flourish and go, oh my God, I'm actually happy, and things
Yeah.
really, really feel good. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really, really, really thrilled. And thank you for being so giving, because Natasha, sometimes I see, and no one is ever obliged to, come back and share their story ever. Some people don't want to, they're private, totally get that. But for those people that do, it is such a lifeline for those that are still struggling. And when they listen, especially with you, because they can go back and listen to your first
Mm.
interview of what was going on and what you were working through and what happened. And then now we're so many years on, it's like such a thrill to see there's more calm, there's more peace, there's more balance, there's more groundedness. And then when you get to that place, everything you decide, it just, you practice surrender, trust, faith, letting go, allowing,
Yes.
and those are where the golden gems are. That's the more high rung, high level, more advanced personal development. You can call it law of attraction or whatever, but it's your personal development as a person. It just makes living so much smoother, easier, and joyful. So
It's
much
true.
better. I'm
It's
very
true.
proud of hearing your story. It's like, oh, it's so
You.
exciting.
Thank you. And like that's exactly where I think I am now. I like really just love manifesting with like universal
Mm,
intelligence like at my
yeah,
side because I trust it. I like
yeah,
got to the point where I really do trust it and I also surrendered like I have surrendered a little bit about the person and I think that that's my favorite part now because like who comes in because this is the thing like you're right like you can so like he could change like he could have an awakening or he and I believe in his heart when he said what he said about kids and stuff like I know he meant it at the time but it doesn't mean that it can't change like that's the other thing like
that's
anything
right.
can happen but
Yeah,
like I also realized at that point like I was willing like it was my decision it's not like he's taking something away from me and like I'm
yeah,
not in control I was like you know what like if he comes in that way that would be great and then I'll make the decision at that time but like right now
yeah,
I have to make the choice that's right for me. And that's what's
mhm,
self-loving. And that's what
yeah,
self-love is like,
yeah,
do I want to stick around while he's going through his process? No, because I realize like that would just be like chaining myself to pain every day because I'm not
Mm,
seeing what I want. Like, and
yeah.
again, that's all ego, but it's like, that's
Mm,
like how I don't want to live that way anymore. And that's
yeah.
why like I do feel so free
Mm.
because I can love him and he can love me, but we don't have to be together every second for us to like
Yes,
love each other. Like we do love each other. Like
that's
I
it.
always have that. Like he's
Yeah.
not taken from me. Like he's not, this is where like the whole thing of they're not separate from you, like the universe is one,
Mm,
like this is it. Like you, if you really love in a non-needy way, you don't actually have to be with that person to like have love and be loved
that's true.
because you
That's
are.
true.
You already
That's
are.
true.
I know he loves me. Like, and whether I choose him or not, or it's him or not, I choose the other person that I like and or not, it's like you there's never a lack of love. Like it's just it's
Mm,
always there,
yes.
especially if you love yourself because it comes from you.
That's right. And it's just being reflected back to you that you are topping your tank up through meditation, through connecting with Source, God, through, going into nature, recharging through, the oxygen exchange. I mean, there's so many ways that you can just lift up your battery and charge your battery. And well, you'll get to the point, I think, too, when you've worked on your self love for quite a long time, you don't let your battery to go down to zero. Once you hit 50%, that's when your red light comes on and you go, okay, I'm feeling a bit tired. Let me look after myself now so it doesn't drop further. And then you don't have all these outbursts and these where you collapse from exhaustion because you haven't regulated yourself properly. You regulate yourself much better. You don't drop down as far. And then topping up doesn't take as long.
Yeah.
It's much easier, it's much smoother, it's much calmer in the energy and the emotions. So
Yeah.
I so look
Um,
forward to, because we said, because I've got to go and teach a group, that we would probably only cover one or two topics today, but we will, if you are willing, have you back. And also, T, can people contact you, via, I mean, I don't know, do you do social media? Do you have somewhere where or would you, because when you answer in the comments, then everyone can
yeah.
benefit. Whereas if people email, then only the one person benefits. So what would you prefer?
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to do whatever is easiest. I mean, I can give you my email address that people want to reach out. And then also,
Yeah.
if people have questions, I think, I mean, what I could always do is like, you could compile the questions if they leave them with you or if they
Yes.
post them. And then we could do another one that's like a Q and
Yes.
A if you
That
want.
sounds really
If they
great.
want, and just ask
Yeah.
the audience to see what they
Yeah.
want. And I'm happy to
That's
do
right.
whatever.
Okay. Sounds
So,
good. And
yeah.
it'll be so great for them to go back and listen to, the first interview, because as I'd forgotten, you didn't have your video on for the first one.
Yes.
And now
Yes.
now
Do
they can see who you are. So yeah, no,
it.
it'll be really lovely for them to hear part one and part two. And I love when people come back years later and then, it's like, oh, because you get to see the progression, you get to hear the
Yeah.
change, you get to witness the insights that the person's had, and also the results. And a result isn't always get the relationship. The result might be I got the relationship and I've got an ex showing up. But you know what? For me right now, I'm working on my self-love because I want to make sure that when I'm really going to step in, because I want to have children, that we meet and we match each other and it clicks into
Yeah.
place.
In
You
like
know,
the right ways. And that's sort
the
of
right
why
way.
I'm becoming a little more picky, but also becoming more focused on like what I need to be
Yeah,
and trusting that the right thing will unfold at the right time because I've intended it. Like I know what I'm intending. So,
yeah,
and that's
yeah,
the part of, like
yeah.
the letting go and the surrender to the timing.
Yes,
That's how it comes in because you cannot force
mm,
this kind of
you
thing. You
can.
can't. I think
And
with
in
love
saying that,
especially.
we
Yeah.
were as we before I go, we were talking about timing,
Yeah.
but I'm not against things happening quickly. I don't want people to think that things take forever and the timing
Yeah.
is the timing. Some things can happen quickly because you've done
Oh yeah.
years worth of stuff to get you to the point where then it looks like it
Yes.
manifests quickly. But the work you did to get yourself there. So some things can click into place in a wonderful way, in an unexpected way, and in a timing where you thought, wow, that didn't take long. And those are
Oh yeah.
wonderful surprises too that, that can happen when,
Absolutely. I think
when
you just have to be open. You have to be
yes,
open to it. It's
yeah,
like, it's not, you may manifest your person in a couple weeks, a month, or it may take you more than that. And that's,
yeah,
both are fine. And
exactly.
everybody's on their own journey. So you have to just be okay. Like, your journey is your
Mm,
journey.
that's it.
So,
That's it. Thank you
yeah.
so much, my love. It was
Oh,
so
it
good.
was so wonderful seeing you. Thank you too. And sending you lots of love as well.
Sounds good. Natasha, can you send me a beautiful picture of you for the thumbnail? And then we will, and if you want, let me know in a month's time or when even let me know now and we'll continue on with
Yeah.
a part 3.
Okay. Sounds great. All right. Have a wonderful night. And yes, bye.
Bye,
Bye, everyone.
Natasha. Bye, everybody.